You're back for more Perry Mason here on BuzzChomp, and I'm reacting to episode 8, the season finale. I'm Dan Salem. Deadlock, hook, line, and sinker, a pretty bow, all of the above.
I'm Mandy.
I'm Dan.
Subscribe to
BuzzChomp. Woo!
Woo!
This was an excellent conclusion to a Perry Mason season 1. Thankfully, we're getting more. It was an origin story, complete package. Story wrapped itself up, didn't have to continue. Kind of left us where we would have expected for an origin story. That being said, excellent conclusion. And it was a deadlock. Perry won the case, but we're going to put winning in quotes. Emily got off, but we're going to put that in quotes too. Ultimately, the jury was a deadlock. It was a hung jury. It was 9-3. That means 3 people were on Emily's side and 9 were on the side of the district attorney. This is a sign of the times because, man, the woman didn't really do anything besides have an affair. We don't quite look down upon that as much this day and age. They really frowned upon it back then more than anything. That being said, Perry bribed one of the jurors, so he didn't really need to. They only needed 1. They had 3. He bribed 1, waste of money, but he ensured that Emily would get off because she was not guilty. Emily gets off, and then receives a baby, and then runs away with the mother of the former preacher of the church, who herself ran away. She resurrected Charlie, the baby, the dead baby, because Charlie's body disappeared, and then, lo and behold, an abandoned child is found in the street. I don't know if her and her mother set all that up, if the church set all that up, but they found the baby. It was abandoned. It had no parents. Emily gets a baby. It's not Charlie, but she gets a new Charlie. Now she's on tour, running another church. Look it, baby's back to life. Look it, we got a new baby. Look it, blah, 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 blah. As long as someone's taking care of this kid, it might as well be Emily. She was a good mother. She didn't deserve to have her child killed. The dirty details of the murder, we knew them, but the show shared it to us in classic lawyer fashion, except it wasn't what happened in court. It's what Perry Mason wanted to do in court. But the associate DA, the new DA, called Perry Mason out and said, look, you're not going to get Ennis to admit guilt on the stand in court. It never happens. Now, this person is Perry's nemesis in the future. In the original Perry Mason TV show, his nemesis is the district attorney, the prosecution, and that's this guy that becomes the DA after the current DA fails in this Charlie Dodson case. Drake is Perry's private investigator, his detective, and so it was the whole origin of him coming to work for Perry. And Della is his right-hand lady, his assistant, associate, lawyer, all of the above in the future, and also here she is now in the present. So it all made a nice little package. Perry wins his first case. Of course he does. He sells his farm. Of course he does. Emily's free. Of course he does. The heart of Perry Mason is that he solves the unsolvable. He figures out the mystery. He gets his client off who's wrongfully accused. And I'm excited for another season as long as it's a single mystery for the entirety of the season. Because that's what made season 1 so much fun, is that we had one mystery to unravel, one case that Perry Mason had to crack. Also, he was becoming the man we knew him to be. The deadlock in episode 8, the finale, was rather gratifying because we saw the current DA really sweating bullets. The absurdity of the charges brought up on the mother of the dead child. Yes, she had an affair, but the man that helped with the kidnapping was tricking her. Kept her on the phone for an hour while her baby slept. I mean, I have children, and they go to sleep. I go watch TV in the other room. You leave your kid alone when they're sleeping. You're not in the room with them the whole time. That's a stupid thing. Well, that's exactly what Emily did. Now, she was having an affair. Yes, that's wrong. But her husband was out gambling away all of their assets, lied to her about her family. I mean, that was a bad, bad marriage. I kind of thought it was cool that she's now the new preacher lady, and the old preacher lady escaped and was working in a diner. Perry went and sought her out just to kind of have a reconciliation. It was a really nice, tidy ending. It was fun. I like that Perry left the farm. He moved on. He's now Perry the lawyer. He's taking over EB's place. And everything fits. There were no real surprises in the finale. There was just a really nice presentation, whereas we saw what Perry wanted to do in court. Then we saw him wrestling with how he can get off Emily. And then he had that ace in his sleeve. We saw Ennis get murdered by Holcomb because, of course, he was the dirtiest of dirty. The new DA was coming down on the church because of their money laundering and exploitation, kidnapping, what have you. And that was going to lead back to Ennis because he did all their dirty work unless Ennis disappears. So now the LAPD is in the clear because they've taken out Ennis. And, you know, he deserved it. He deserved to die. He was a bad, bad man. the LAPD is really dirty. That's going to be a factor in the next future seasons of Perry Mason. Because you have a DA that is always going to be against Perry, even if they're buddies. And you got an LAPD that's a corrupt to the core. And Perry is going to find himself in a load of crap down the road. But, of course, he'll find a way to win his case. I'm Dan Salem. Comment below with your thoughts on this origin story of Perry Mason. And subscribe to BuzzChomp for more great TV. We are following new shows as they come up this year. Can't wait to follow the next great TV. Woo!
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo!